Look at the share. Look at the share.
Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? I'll die happy tonight.
White J's, white Porsche, white wrist.
Yes, we are talking about The Great Gatsby. I'm going to be talking about the book. I will mention the movie here and there, but this is about the book. This is a book review. This book is about this dude. His name is Nick Carraway. He's originally from the Midwest of the United States. He comes from a family with money, okay? And he decides that he wants to go to New York to live life, okay? For a year.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting about him.
So boom, when he moves to New York, he moves to this neighborhood called West Egg. Now, there's West Egg and there's East Egg. The main difference between those eggs is that West Egg is new money and East Egg is old money. I never understood what is the competition between people that are old money and the people that are new money, because at the end of the day, for me, money is money. If I become a millionaire today, I will be considered new money, but guess what? Everybody that comes from me and after me are going to be old money. So anyway, the thing is that he lives in West Egg and he has a cousin who is married to a millionaire who lives at East Egg. Between Nick, who is the MC, and his cousin Daisy, there's like this weird vibe going on, okay? You don't see it as much in the movie, but in the book, like the way that he was describing her, I found it to be a little bit sus. And then the way that she talks to him, it was weird too. But at the end of the day, this was like the 1920s, so I'm not even gonna question it, okay? Whenever Daisy opened her mouth, like I was really questioning, is she slow or is she trying to be woo-woo, cute, kawaii thing? Like, I do not know. She was giving the lights are on, but nobody is home. You get me? Like, for example, on page 14, she starts comparing Nick to a rose. Or then in page 85, she says something like, oh, I would like to put you in a cloud and then push you around. Like, she was saying a whole lot of nonsense. Whenever she said something, it just came across as, I'm dumb, you know, and I was not with her, okay? She pissed me off. So Daisy's husband, Tom Buchanan, like the best way to describe Tom is that if he was alive today, he will be a red pill podcaster. When he said that he was worried about the white race being submerged, and on top of that, Tom was having an affair, okay? I mean, are we really surprised? Whatever. The thing is that one day, Tom and Nick, they decide to go to New York City because they live in New York, but they live in Long Island, if I'm not mistaken. So they decided to go to the city and they passed this place that is called the Valley of the Ashes. Now, to put it simply, the Valley of the Ashes, think of it like a construction site. That's what it was giving, like a lot of dust everywhere. It was very dirty. And then here is where Nick mentions the eyes of Dr. Eckelberg. For some reason, I thought that the eyes of the Dr. Eckelberg were going to play a bigger role on the book, because when you look at the cover of the book, you see the eyes. When you watch the movie, the eyes are there. They really want you to notice that the eyes are there looking at you. Now, my thing is that I was expecting the eyes to be a little bit more involved in the story. Like, I was expecting the eyes to be a little bit more like the Eye of Sauron in The Lord of the Rings.
Hey, yo, chill the fuck out, yo. You sitting there playing with...
But it turned out that the eyes are just like a symbolism, right? The symbolism of maybe God, like I see everything, because then later in the book something like that is said. But I don't know, like I was expecting the eyes to be a little bit more active, because like I said, they are at the cover of the book. So now, before Nick and Tom go to New York City, they make a stop at the Valley of the Ashes, and here we see, or we get to meet Tom's mistress. And here we get to know that Tom's mistress is actually married to a guy who is the owner of a car shop. So the mistress is married to some guy and Tom is married to Daisy, okay? So Nick is like receiving all this information, all this tea, whatever. They go to New York City, they have a fun night, they get... For some reason, things escalate and we see that Tom gets quite violent because he slaps the out of his mistress.
You're shocked?
Be who you are.
Mr. Nick, he receives an invitation from Mr. Gatsby like, hey, come to my house, come to my party, this and that. Now here's where we see that the glazing of Gatsby is out of control. Like, everybody is glazing this man. Nick himself, he was talking about how marvelous Mr. Gatsby's signature was, and then on the party everybody's talking about him like, oh, he was an assassin, he was an Oxford student, this and that. Like, the glazing goes crazy. Now I will say this, in the book the description of the party does not go as crazy as in the movies. Like, when Nick is talking about the party at J. Gatsby's mansion, yes, he's saying that there's a lot of people here, they doing a lot of things, this and that, but you don't get the sense that the party is so out of control like in the movie. Like, in the movie you see a lot of, I guess because it's visual, but you see a lot of the extravaganza, right? You see a lot of things going on, everything is so big and grand, and a lot of things are happening. But in the book, for some reason, the description that the author gives you, for me, it didn't give like, oh, this party was out of control. It just gave like it was a big house and there was a lot of people, but it wasn't necessarily an out of control fun party, if you get what I'm saying. The thing is that at the party, the MC finally meets Gatsby, and when he meets Gatsby, Gatsby keeps calling him Old Sport. Now, at the first and second or third time, I found this cute. I'm like, okay, it's a little nickname, I don't know, Old Sport, who cares? But then after like the fifth time, I was like, okay, what do you even mean? Like, cut that shit out. Fast forward, Nick and Gatsby develop a certain type of friendship, and you see Gatsby trying to convince Nick that he comes from a wealthy family, but they're all dead now. And then there's a page in the book where Gatsby says like, oh, my family are from the Midwest, and Nick asks him like, oh, which part, where from the Midwest? And Gatsby says San Francisco. And here, this is where I knew that Gatsby was definitely lying, because baby, San Francisco is not the Midwest. San Francisco, California is the West. Okay, so I'm like, okay, he is definitely lying. Like, it was so obvious. And in the book you also see that Nick knew it as well. Like, he knew he was lying, like something was fishy about him. Then Gatsby brought this shady old man to kind of like back up what he was saying to Nick. Like, you see that the glazing from this man to Gatsby goes insane. He's talking about like, oh yeah, Gatsby comes from a good family, his family was wealthy, he's a good man, he has businesses. Like, he was doing tricks on it, you get me? Like, it was obvious that this man was trying to sell this idea of Gatsby to Nick. And again, I feel like Nick knew. Gatsby was like trying way too hard, and I feel like people could sense his desperation. You get what I'm saying? And here I started wondering if Gatsby was gay, or what was the reason why he was doing all of this. Because why do you as a man care so much about what another man has to think about you? You get me? Like, I was really confused, because like, Gatsby, why are you doing all of this? Come to find out that Gatsby was trying to impress Nick because he wanted a favor from Nick. Now, the favor was that he wanted Nick to invite Daisy over for tea. And this was because Gatsby used to have a little thing with Daisy, and he wanted to reconnect with her, right? Daisy and Gatsby are having like a little romance, you know, they're having like a little thing, and Nick was just standing there. And here I started wondering again if Nick was jealous, or if he was just uncomfortable in the situation, because I don't know, like, Nick and Daisy had like a weird thing. At least that's what I got like a weird vibe. So I don't know if Nick liked Daisy, or if he liked Gatsby, or if he was just uncomfortable. I don't know. You tell me, if you have read the book, what do you think it was? You tell me. Daisy and Gatsby, they re-sparked their love, their romance, right? They're having a little affair. And here is where things finally get interesting, because up until this point, everything feels like an intro, if I'm being honest. They're all together having dinner at Daisy and Tom's house, and Gatsby is convinced that Daisy is going to leave Tom for him, right? But Tom, he's observing them too, and he puts two and two together and realizes that Daisy and Gatsby are having a little thing, like they're having a little affair. One thing leads to another. They decide to go back to New York City. On their way back to New York City, Tom makes a stop to pump gas into his car. Now, mind you, the car that Tom is driving is not his car, it's Gatsby's car. and Gatsby is driving Tom's car. So when Tom stops at the gas station for a little gas, he talks with his mistress husband, and he tells him like, oh, I think we're going to move because I believe like my wife is having a little affair with somebody. He didn't know it was Tom. And here's where Tom realizes like, oh my god, Gatsby is about to take away my wife from me, and my mistress is running away with her husband, so I'm going to be left alone. The thing is that they go to the Plaza Hotel. So when they're at the hotel, Tom confronts Gatsby and he tells him like, what the are you doing? And Gatsby tells him something like, yeah, your wife doesn't love you, like she loves me, she never loved you, this and that. And here for some reason I thought that it was possible that Daisy was going to leave Tom for Gatsby, because Gatsby said something like, oh, she wasn't with me because I didn't got money, I was poor, but now I got money. And like, if you analyze Daisy's character, I believe that that could be true. Like maybe she wasn't with Gatsby just because he was poor and he had to go to war. So now that Gatsby has money, he told Daisy like, I will do anything for you, like whatever you want is yours, like your wish is my command. I really thought that Gatsby had a chance. Like I really thought that Daisy, maybe she would have left Tom for Gatsby, because again, she knew that Tom was having an affair, right? And Tom admits it. He says something like, oh, you know, I do my little things, but I always come back, this and that. So I really thought that Daisy was going to leave Tom for Gatsby, but come to find out, Daisy is a he know we're home at daughter. Things get a little bit heated and Gatsby and Daisy decide to go back home. Now on their way back home, something happens. Daisy, she accidentally ran over Tom's mistress.
I woke up in a new Bugatti.
She killed her, okay? And guess what happened? Gatsby took the blame for it, because Tom and Daisy, they get back together, and Tom told his mistress husband, who is now a widow or whatever the name is, he told him like, oh, the one who ran over your wife was Gatsby. And then Mr. Wilson went to Gatsby's house and killed him. This shit really pissed me off, because I was thinking like, if Nick would have been straight up to Gatsby, like if he had told him, hey, you know what, I saw Tom and Daisy kind of like talking, they looked like they were conspiring together. I really don't think that Daisy is going to run away with you like you want her to. She won't leave Tom for you, like you're being delusional. You need to run away because people are looking for you because they think that you a woman. There's a scene where Gatsby tells Nick like, oh, I don't think nobody saw us, and Nick, instead of telling him like, man, you are wrong because people in the murder scene, they were talking about your yellow car, they are looking for you, and sooner or later they're going to know that the car is yours, like you need to leave town, people are looking for you because they think that you murdered that lady. Like if Nick had been straight up with Gatsby, I truly believe that Gatsby, maybe he would have went away, he wouldn't be in his house waiting for Daisy to call, because again, Nick knew that Daisy was not going to call him, but he said something like, oh yeah, maybe Daisy will call you. Like, brother, you know she won't call him, you know she won't call him, you know she doesn't want to be with him, you know he's wanted for the murder of a woman. Like if you're really his friend, tell him straight up how it is. And then Daisy, I hate when y'all make me take a man's side, especially when it's like between a man and a woman and it's romantically. I hate when you make me take the man's side, but I have to take Gatsby's side a little bit. Like I understand them both, because I understand that Gatsby was being a little bit delusional, and I think he was asking too much of her. Like she was already married to Tom and they've been together for 5 years, they already had a daughter. Maybe Gatsby was asking for a lot, but like if you knew you didn't want nothing with him, just be straight up. Like tell him like, no, all we're gonna do is like have a little fun, but I will never leave my husband for you. I really feel like Daisy did not deserve Gatsby, and Nick was right about them. Like there's a page where Nick says something like, oh, all they do is like do a mess and then let somebody else take care of their mess for them, and then they go back to their money. Tom and Daisy, they're both spoiled. Like I hate them both, okay? Gatsby died alone, okay? Not one single soul went to his funeral. And that's why you should never put your hands on the hot stove for nobody. Because at the end of the day, all those people that you're trying to impress, those people do not give a about you. Like if something happens to you, if you die tomorrow, those people that you're trying to impress, they do not care. And this is what happened to Gatsby. Gatsby did all of that, like all that fame, all that money, all that house, all those lies for people that did not give a fuck about him. Like you betray yourself for nothing.
Shut the hell up! Shut